ND. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the indie releases coming to us in June of 2023. Now, admittedly, this one is late because I 100% forgot to put it on my at a glance, so when I was looking at the calendar, I was like, I'm missing something. What is it? And here we are. So I do apologize, this one is a little bit late this month, but just think of all those books you can already go and buy. Before we jump into the video today, something a little bit different. We have a quick word from today's sponsor, Nerdy Book Tours. Congratulations, anonymous author. Your book is ready for release. You have done it. Now it's time to market. Wait, market? I wrote the book. What do I have to do now? Well, good news for you is there's a company called Nerdy Book Tours here to help you out. Nerdy Book Tours offers a cheap and affordable book tour service which will get your book out to readers and reviewers and showcase that book across various social media platforms. Nerdy Book Tours come in at just $50 USD for the duration of the tour. This makes it an affordable service for new up-and-coming and indie authors to get your name out there to reviewers and readers who want to know your book and will promote it to the world. The best way to book yourself a Nerdy Book Tour is via the bio link in their Instagram and Twitter accounts. I'll also have those linked down below for you should you want to check it out. If you mention that you've come from A Fictional Escapist, that $50 USD will turn into $40 for the duration of your tour. Back to the video. Now, we have quite a big and eclectic mix of indie SFF coming out to us this month, so let's just jump right in. On June 1st, we have the Pyres of Vengeance, the Swords of Dominion Book 2 by N.C. Kris. I'm so sorry if the author ever watches this and I've butchered your name. Now, as always, these book 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and sometimes 15s are not going to get too much of an in-depth look because I do not want to spoil book 1 for anyone, and selfishly, I want to read this series at some point. Moving on from there, we do have another series continuation with Tristan's Regret. This is the return of King Arthur Book 3 by Jacob Sannox. This one is giving us some historical fantasy, urban fantasy, cross sword and sorcery. Those three things together have me intrigued, but it is a book 3, so we will have to move on without looking at the blurb for fear of spoiling anything for anyone. Also on June 1st, we have the Exile of Zanzibar. This is the Railroad to Zanzibar, book 1 by Daniel Maidman. Now, this cover and blurb has me quite intrigued. This is historical fantasy / epic fantasy, and I don't know what it is about it because I don't know this cover would necessarily be one that I would gravitate towards normally, but there is something about it. Maybe it's just that historical fantasy element which does have me intrigued, and I put this one on a TBR to get to at some point. This one says, Claire built a device to fold space and time. It had a flaw. When the smoke clears, she finds herself halfway across the world, thousands of years in the past, and no device in sight. In Bronze Age Florence, war has lasted for generations. All Claire wants to do is go home, but she'll need help from the locals. She wins an ally in Marcus Diophantus, a pickpocket turned soldier turned general who hopes to turn into something more than just her champion. Together they broker peace between Florence and its enemy. If Marcus is going to help Claire, he'll have to survive. Peace has upset the balance of power in Capital City. The king stands increasingly alone against the Constantines. Yes, that is the right word. A commercial enterprise as much as a clan who aim to profit from peace as they have from war. The warrior nobles descended from the founders of Florence are quick to turn against a weak throne, and Reburus, the high priest of Florence, convinced Claire answers to hostile foreign gods. As the city comes to a boil, Claire and Marcus's formidable army will have to decide where their allegiance lies. Claire becomes a reluctant participant in a savage campaign. While Marcus leads the battles, she tries to gain control. The unimaginably powerful, I can't pronounce that word, a ghost tower in the heart of Florence, shrouded by magic and myth. That sounds awesome, and I definitely had this one on my radar. Another one happening on June 1st is Captain, All That Glitters Book 2 by Shalina Medford. This is grimdark and gaslamp fantasy. This cover is pretty cool. I do like a good pop of purple in the cover. Once again, the first line of this blurb is a little bit spoilery, so we'll have to move on from there. Then on June 1st, in a book I've already had the pleasure of reading, is Buzzard's Bowl by John Palladino. I will put the review at the top. The review did contain some spoilers for the first book, Trials of Ashmount, so if you want to go and check that out, it will spoil Trials of Ashmount for you. If you haven't read that, give it a skip. If you have read Trials of Ashmount, it is non-spoiler for Book 2, Buzzard's Bowl. This is the Tragedy of Sedaine, Book 2. Another one we had on June 1st, Spiffboat Entrance, I believe, had to be out by... The books had to be released by June 1st. There's a lot coming out on June 1st. Is On Winds of Ruin. This is the Demaquis Book 2 by Lincoln Law. And again, another cover that I wouldn't normally gravitate towards, which I think is kind of cool, but it is a book 2. So if you are reading that series, then book 2 is out right now. You can go ahead and grab it. The next one we have is something that has caught my attention, and again, it was released on June 1st, and that is The Nameless Restaurant by Tao Wong. This is a cozy urban fantasy. This one says there is a restaurant in Toronto. Its entrance is announced only by a simple, unadorned wooden door, varnished to a beautiful shrine, but without paint, hidden behind a dumpster and a fire escape. There is no sign, no indication of what lies beyond the door. If you do manage to find the restaurant, the decor is dated and worn. Homey, if one were to be generous. The service is atrocious. The proprietor a grouch. The regulars are silent, brooding, and unfriendly to newcomers. There is no set menu, alternating with the whim and whimsy of the owner. The selection of wine and beer is sparse or non-existent at times, and the prices for everything outrageous. There is a restaurant in Toronto that is magically hidden, whose service is horrible, but whose food is divine, and this is the story of The Nameless Restaurant. Moving on to the 2nd of June, we had The Heart of Pangaea by Lindsay Cancella, and this, I believe, is a middle grade / YA. We've got a dino on the cover, which looks pretty cool, and it says, Robin has a vivid imagination, even for a 12-year-old. I'm going to go middle grade. Vivid enough to create herself a companion, but Ed isn't your ordinary imaginary friend. Ed is a Dimetrodon. It's a dinosaur name that I have trouble pronouncing, so if you know how to pronounce it, good for you. An ancient beast from a forgotten age. When her mother falls ill, Robin and Ed delve into her subconscious to the prehistoric kingdom of Pangaea. I've pronounced it differently this whole time. In search of a cure. But in a world of dinosaurs, pirates, and ancient magic, can they find what they seek? Can they even save themselves from the creatures which inhabit this mysterious land? This one sounds quite cute and lovely. So I hope that people will pick that up if they're looking for a middle grade / young YA novel. The next one we have is an author that I read last year, and I think his prose is absolutely delightful, and this one is Gold, Lock and Key, Grimdark Fairy Tales by E.J. Dobell. This is a Goldilocks and the Three Bears retelling, and I am so intrigued. I have this one, but I haven't read it yet. It says, all it needs is a bit of tenacity and 3 little bears. Goldie, an outlaw and contract hunter of the Barren State, accepts a new assignment from her employer to find an old cabin in the woods, home to 3 shapeshifters who can morph into bears. Considered to be little more than a myth, Goldie assumes at first that these shapeshifters are an exaggeration, but with the sizable bounty her employer is offering, she soon realizes that there may be more truth in it than she realized. This sounds a dark fantasy retelling of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I'm absolutely in for this. It sounds awesome, and once again, absolutely stunning cover done by the artist here. Also on June 4th, we have Waybound by Will White, a big name for progression fantasy lovers everywhere. But this is a book 12, so I will not be reading the blurb, but if you're a Cradle fans, you already know that this book is out. Then we move on to June 6th, and we have Of Deeds Most Valiant, a Poisoned Saints novel, and this is by Sarah K. L. Wilson. This cover is blowing up my Instagram. It is everywhere, and every time I look at it, I think it is gorgeous, and I want to purchase it, but there's that element of romance which is just putting me off. Maybe I just need to get over myself and pick up the book. If you've read this one, let me know. It says this is an adult romantic epic fantasy standalone featuring paladins in all their aspects and is perfect for lovers of tea, Kingfisher, Tamsin Muir and Daniel L. Jensen. Through this book is a part of a collection of books linked by the same world. It is a complete story in itself and does not bleed out into other books in the series. 11 paladins walk into a monastery. Only one knows it's a trap. Maybe I'll give it a go. I don't know. Let me know if you've read it down below and tell me if I should pick it up. Also on the 6th of June, we have the Champions of Light. This is the Light series, book 1, and is written by Althea Damgard. It says, Rhonda runs away when her father betrays her trust by arranging her marriage without telling her. She had freedom to be herself, unlike her sisters, but in the end, she should have expected this. Winter still hangs on in the mountains, unlike the beach she left, and it could be another month until the pass to the west opens. Her funds run out and the city catches her stealing. Instead of a cell, they take her to the Cathedral of Light, which rivals a fortress. There she learns the truth about the light while trying to hide who she really is. Her parents, who embrace the dark, have the power to take over the Mountain Kingdom and could use her as their excuse to do so. Sergeant Vern can't shake his desire to drink, nor his anger at the Lord of Light for the disease that crippled and killed his sister at a young age. The cathedral lets him work with the class of deviants under his alias, but time is running out. The worst spring thaw of the century arrives, and despite the great Cathedral of Light, the dark has found a deep root in the kingdom. Worse, prophecies of the spiritual war manifesting in the physical come true as a mural changes before their eyes and images step into their lives. Vern needs to accept the truth that sets him free of the curse cast upon his family so he can step into his true role. A truth his sister professed about the light through all her pain into her last breath when the angels took her home. Will their faith in the light be enough to overcome their trials and save a kingdom? That sounds pretty cool. I hadn't read the blurb for that one before, but I'm interested. That is an epic fantasy. Another one coming out on June 6th is the Imperfect Curse, the Imperfect Cathar Book 2 by C. N. Rowan. Says, I'm exhausted, done in, needing a stiff drink and about a week's sleep, but that's not going to happen. Oh, my dude. Me too. Then we have a stunning cover in a book called Lira, which is grimdark horror and definitely has my attention. This one is by Amanis Faniel, and I apologize if I pronounce that incorrectly. It says, Lira is an innocent little girl struggling to survive in a cruel, heartless world. As her father dies, she is left to fend for herself. Each day is a desperate and exhausting search for food, scouring through the abyss, the only home she knows. Acute awareness does not always protect her from the very real risk of cannibalism or worse, being abducted. This is a horrifying reality that no child should have to face in a brutally poetic tale. Now we have seen book 1 of this quite recently, but book 2 of the Gold Squad Volition, the Volta Academy Chronicles, is coming our way on June 6th, or it's already here. This is by Maya Ling 1 and is progression YA fantasy. Magical girls, mystery, and martial arts. Then we jump to June 9th with a book called Call of the Traveller. This is the Traveller series, book 2, and it is by Tony Binns. This one says, a war between two worlds, a destiny she can't escape. This is a book 2, so I won't go too much into it. Then on June 13th, we have quite an intriguing YA cozy fantasy called Fat Witch Summer. This is by Lizzie Ives, and it looks delightful. Dumplin meets the craft in this body-positive fantasy novel for fans of summer road trips, female friendship, and magic. Doesn't it just sound and look lovely? Jumping then to June 16th, we have When the Stars Alight. This is the Essence of the Equinox, book 1 by Camilla Andrew and is Gaslamp. That is a cool series name, The Essence of the Equinox. A maiden of the stars, a monster from the shadows, a collision that rewrites their worlds. Princess Layla Rose is a fallen star in a human form, a beloved guardian to humanity. Yet in spite of these fantastical origins, she is never much believed in prophecies. That's why when a demon of apocalyptic legend is presented to her in a block of ice, she feels fascination rather than fright. Curiosity kindles into mutual desire once he breaks free of his captivity. Far from the rampaging beast of mass destruction everyone expects, he is monstrously handsome, deviously articulate, and alluringly mysterious, a prince among his kind. Eager to discover his origins, Layla travels from her idyllic seaside realm into a land of unspeakable horrors, relying on her wits to survive her journey. She arrives aiming to establish a peaceful contact with the aid of the besotted prince. However, it becomes clear that the heartless demon king does not desire peace at all, only war and conquest. When diplomacy fails, Layla turns to the king's suave and manipulative bastard son in the hopes that she can inspire both him and his trueborn brother to go against their father. But soon it is her heart she must keep from being torn between the centuries-old dangerous rivalry. If you like Gaslamp romance, it sounds like this one is going to be for you. On June 16, we have The Orb and the Airship. This is Turum Archive, Book 1 by Janelle Leanne Schmidt. This is steampunk cozy fantasy, and quite a simple and beautiful cover. I think it is very striking, the gold on the maroon here, and I don't know, this cover is working for me. A rogue airship captain and ambitious youth, a clash of powers beyond their imagination. With scholarships to a prestigious military school, Graydon and Wynne are thirsty for adventure. But the night before they leave, they discover the mysterious Delmere and his arcane orb in the Forsaken Tower outside of town. The old man, who seems to have a wealth of knowledge of what came before and yet so little of it now, insists on accompanying them as they travel to the academy. Meanwhile, all-pirate Captain Marek wants to keep to the skies, take his due, and care for his crew. Then a straightforward pillaging mission on a ship of fresh academy students leads to betrayal from one of his own, an unlikely friendship forged by necessity. Yet this new alliance stirs up ancient foes and conflict too terrible to ignore. Despite Graydon's inexperience and Mark's skepticism, working together with Delmere is their only option. The fate of the world depends on it. On June the 17th, we have Molten Flux. This is Flux Catastrophe Book 1 by Jonathan Weiss. As the freshest conscript aboard the walking fortress of Revance, Rizza forges a name for himself in battle. The enemy are the Smelters, bandits that trade in reanimated corpses, but for Rizza, the bloodshed represents a path of redemption for an upbringing he's just escaped. Next up on June the 18th, we have Enchanted Flames. This is an anthology, and it's just called Enchanted Anthologies Book Number 3 by various authors. This is a YA anthology, so if you are looking for a group of YA stories, give this one a go. Then on the 20th of June, we've got some urban fantasy coming to us with Guild of Magic, NYC Questing Guild by John Orobach. I, again, hope I pronounced that right. Joining the guild was only the beginning. Now Jen's next quest could spell life or death. Jen Jacobs thought she was in over her head when she first discovered the secret quest board and the world of alchemy and magic hiding just out of sight in New York City. But after a ghost from her mentor Beatrice Taylor's past nearly kills the two of them, Jen finds herself on the cusp of joining the fabled guild. I'm a sucker for this kind of storyline, and I'm already ready to buy it and read it. Probably in about 3 years' time, because I'm a TBR planner. Let's face it. Except now Beatrice has gone missing, leaving Jen alone to face the shadowy organisation and its 11 members by herself. If that wasn't enough, the guild's chairman forces Jen to complete yet another dangerous quest to prove that she belongs, stealing a long-lost vial of dragon's blood that is the key ingredient to recreating the legendary Philosopher's Stone. As Jen's past mistakes begin to catch up with her, she'll need to muster all of her ingenuity to survive in the cutthroat world of ancient relics, magical dynasties, and a possible immortal secretly directing things from behind the scenes. On June the 21st, we have Hierarchy of the Unseen by B. Pigeon and Fel A. Marsh. This is an epic fantasy. Demons and humans are locked in an endless struggle. This is an intrinsic fact of nature. The demons believe their salvation lies in bleeding humanity of the life force called Light, while the humans are equally determined to defend it. Within the sprawling empire of Lunevet, the two sides have settled into an uneasy peace, employing less violent tactics, but this peace can only hold for so long. Servant girl Alaris Kalanick finds out about her family's gift the hard way when she discovers her ability to dreamwalk after being condemned to the cells. Oh, I love dream magic. With thoughts of escape, she uses her newfound ability to spy on the Emperor and his secret search for something important. Nothing the Emperor wants could possibly be good for the people he rules, so whatever the Emperor is looking for, Alaris must find it first. Thrulani guardsman Kagan Lease has served the Empire since Emperor Paddock's reign began 8 years ago. He can also communicate with a vicious oracle referred only as the Darkness. I can read. When the darkness takes Kagan with investigating the servant girl in the cells, Kagan takes on a special mission that will require more than his usual interrogation methods of brute strength and intimidation. From vastly different echelons of the same tribal society, Alaris and Kagan are surprised to learn they share one important goal: ensuring the best for the people of their island nation. Alaris discovers what the Emperor is looking for: a dragon. But warning a senile dragon against impending danger is no easy task. Together, Alaris and Kagan must save a forgetful dragon and a divided nation, which may mean giving up any hope of saving themselves. And the last one we have here on the 30th of June is Quin of Light, the Quins of Sasaren. Hopefully I pronounced that right, by Mark Parker, and again this is a YA epic fantasy. The Quins of Sasaren have awoken, Auri, gifted with power over lightning that fascinates and frightens her in equal measure, power she must bring to the fore when horror strikes her people. Torrin and Iran, twins with growing mastery over the physical and mental, a potent mix of brains and brawn, both vying for the approval of the kingdom's greatest warrior. Koshi, beset with sickness caused by the fire that threatens to burn her from the inside, and Kaetan, the youngest prince of Sasaren, who bends water to his desire, but whose will and words are shackled by a devastating sorceress. Alone they pose little threat, separated at birth, mere pawns to be used by the city of Sasaren as an unknown enemy rumbles in the north. Alone they are mere children caught in a dangerous and confusing world of betrayal and fear. Together they are bound by a curse that will one day kill them all. Together they will devastate kingdoms. There's some really good blurbs coming out in this month right here, and I'm pretty excited to pick up a few of these. There's a lot on this list, a lot to be excited about. Is there anything you're looking to pick up? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.